Awesome. Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
That was basically everything you need to know.
I know, we just stopped the video there, I think.
Done. Done. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Already fascinating.
Yep, indeed. So we're doing, actually let's do a bit of housekeeping, Daniel.
Indeed, housekeeping. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Also, a massive thank you to everyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grabbed t-shirts and hats and mugs and strings and pedals and all the accoutrement that comes at thatpedalshowstore.com and helps us do what we do.
Yes, thank you for doing that. Right. Nobels ODR-1 then. Mm-hmm. Everyone talks about it.
Everyone talks about it.
I've never owned one. Have you owned one?
Never owned one.
And yet it's fabled as one of the most loved overdrive pedals of all time.
Yeah, especially in Nashville.
Ah. There's one or two good guitar players there, so
there's a couple milling around the periphery.
A couple of okay pickers.
Yeah, you know. It became really big in Nashville.
Okay, run VT.
The ODR-1 was designed in between 91 and 92 by a Hamburg-based engineer called Kai Tachibana. Now, Kai had an old Fender Bassman, and he loved the sound of that amp cranked, but he also loved the way the guitar interacted with the amplifier using his volume control. He wanted to design an overdrive pedal that reacted the same way as his old Fender Bassman. So the ODR-1 was born. Now, there's three really interesting things about the design of the ODR-1. First of all, it uses a FET transistor on the input, and it uses what we call a direct coupling design, which means there's no coupling capacitor on the input. It's directly coupled, and that is inspired by the way valve amps are designed. The second interesting thing is that it uses both soft and hard clipping diodes in the design. Kai wanted to achieve a uniform overdrive range, and he says this design helped him do it, which is really cool and quite unique. The other thing about the overdrive circuit is there are filters for both the top and bottom end before the signal is overdriven. And once the signal is overdriven, those frequencies are basically sort of reformulated at the end of the circuit. Really clever. The third thing that's really interesting is the tone stack, or what Kai calls the spectrum. Now, on a normal overdrive pedal, generally the tone control simply affects the top end. But on the ODR-1, the spectrum affects both the top end and the lower mids. So with the spectrum basically at 12 o'clock, we have a flat frequency response. If we turn the spectrum control up, we boost the top end, but we also boost the lower mids, leaving the mid-range where it is. If we turn the spectrum control down, we reduce the top end, but we also reduce those lower mids, leaving a mid-hump. Really clever design. Now, a couple of other things about the pedal that are worth noting. If you turn the pedal over and have a look on the back, we have these really cool little clips here, so that if you don't want to use Velcro, you can flip these clips out and screw the pedal directly onto your pedal board. That's really cool. And finally, the ODR-1 has a remote switch, and it means that you can turn the pedal on and off remotely, which is great. Okay, back to the studio. And we're back in the room. Okay, so what we'll do, in the beginning we heard both amps on, right? We've got the Fender Deluxe Reverb and the Vox AC15. We're just going to hear one at a time.
Yeah, of course, in the discussion of overdrive pedals, if you're a regular viewer of TPS, A, thank you, B, you'll know that pedals sound totally different into different amps. And we picked these two because they are stalwarts of the mid-power, mid-price valve amp world.
Absolutely.
Much loved.
Much loved.
You'll find a lot of those in Nashville, especially.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
And to be fair, a lot of those too.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to hear them and hear the differences. And we've chosen these two pedals. Why, Dan, the other two pedals?
Well, a lot of people assume that because it's green, it is a clone of a Tube Screamer.
I'll let you into a secret. I did for years.
There you go. We're going to hear it with the tube screamer. The blues driver, one of the things that I mentioned in the VT is how the ODR-1 really was designed without that mid-hump. So my other favourite non-mid-hump standard overdrive pedal is the Boss Blues driver.
Yeah.
I've had one on my board for years. Actually, I used an old Keeley modded one. We've got the Wazacraft on here. Sensational sounding pedal. So I want to hear that, again, another non-mid-humped overdrive pedal in comparison with the ODR-1.
I think one question we get asked a lot is, I want to buy my first overdrive pedal, what should it be? Inevitably, the Tube Screamer and the Blues Driver are usually high up in those recommendations.
Absolutely.
And let's see, by the end of the show, the ODR-1 maybe as well.
Yeah.
What amp do you want to start with then, Daniel?
Let's start with the Deluxe.
Yeah.
It's the amp I'm least I have least knowledge about.
Least most
sure about.
We've got our Deluxe Reverb set on about 4.5. Now, if you've got a Deluxe Reverb, you might think that's ridiculous because there are lots of Deluxe Reverbs reissues that we've played that would be heavily, heavily into overdrive by that point. This one's not. So we're employing digital technology today.
Very good.
Here are the digits.
Very good.
Watch this.
Nice.
See that? Digital technology to switch the Vox off.
Like it.
Here's the Deluxe Reverb then with no pedals. Humbuckers.
Very nice.
As I said, there are Deluxe Reverbs out there that will be heavily, heavily, heavily into overdrive by 4.5.
And you can hear that sort of teetering on the edge when you push it.
Just
teetering on the edge.
At the risk of a tangent, with all amps, but especially with that one, we find it's like meh, 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 hello.
Yeah.
And we've got it at that highly technically explained hello point.
It's like my mum. Oh, hello.
Okay, I wondered where that was going. Let's have our first listen to the ODR-1 then.
Okay.
I'm particularly interested in the spectrum control.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting about that, even with the gain knob all the way around there, still lots and lots and lots of clarity.
Yeah.
I don't know if you will have explained this in the VT because I haven't seen it yet, but is it doing similar to what a Tube Screamer does? Is it only overdriving up the scale?
No, it's a little bit different. So one of the really interesting things about the design is it's using soft clipping and hard clipping.
Right.
A combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many really clever things about the design. One thing that I probably would have mentioned in the VT, there's no filter cap on the input. So it's more like a valve input stage of an amplifier. And it just seems to retain a lot of guitar.
Bit of clarity.
Yeah.
Okay, super interesting to hear it with full gain. Let's try that with humbuckers just to see where we are. Bit of a weird trip around the keys there, but
Super impressive.
yeah. So one thing that springs to mind immediately, this is the newer version, which has got the bass cut, and we will have a look at that in a minute. With the humbuckers, it was getting a bit woofy down below there, which it wasn't doing with the
Tele.
Okay, where's the sweet spot for you so far then?
Probably going back a little bit from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, not far.
Everything on 2 o'clock by any chance?
You know what? Thinking it.
When Dan was playing to begin with there, what you might see both of us do sometimes when we're setting up a pedal is you go through the sweep of the pedal. Matt Schofield put this into words better, as well as anyone I've ever heard explain it. And you just find the point of most change in the sweet spot. And that's what I did when he was first playing. And it wasn't a million miles off from that, actually.
Yeah.
Like you said, the gain down a bit was the sweet spot. How about we get it in a sweetish spot, compare the other 2 pedals,
Okay.
and then would like to try it like clean and boosty and really gainy.
Lovely.
Yeah?
Yep.
So Gagne then.
Wow.
End of video. Says it on the top,
Wow.
doesn't it?
Yep.
It says natural overdrive on the top. So what you get with the Tube Screamer, we've been over this many times, is a very pronounced nose mid-hump. At what frequency, Daniel?
Tube Screamer is about 700, 800 hertz.
There you go. So that's where the Tube
Just under
Screamer
1K,
gets its
yeah.
nose, but it also rolls off high end and it rolls off bottom end, which accentuates that significantly.
Yeah.
And what you heard in the comparison, well, I don't need to explain what you heard it.
Yeah.
I'm interested, Dan. The old Strat of Blaster.
Yeah.
So one thing that's really cool about Tube Screamers and Deluxe Reverbs and Strats is the Strat has a hole there, and so does the Deluxe Reverb in a way. So what you can get out of a Tube Screamer with a Strat is a bit of fatness. So we'll keep exactly the same settings. I'm sort of interested. Super cool.
Super cool. Fat. Maybe too fat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so used to that Tube Screamer sound.
Yeah.
Can we would you mind dialing the TS in for minimal gain?
Yep.
And like a boost?
Yep.
Let's see if we can get that kind of nice, not a clean boost as such, but that sort of very mid-focusy
Yep.
boost.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I really want to hear it with the bass cut.
So many of you are screaming at the screen now. Yeah, we told you so. It's a totally different thing. And very nice to boot.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear it with the bass cut now?
Yeah, just because I want to hear it with the bass cut with the Strat. So I got this. So underneath the battery compartment is a little switch which has a bass cut on it.
It's attached to the circuit board and you can get to it. It sort of pokes through the... yeah, it pokes through.
So you play for us.
You might think, why on earth would you want that? Because it just sounds thinner. But of course, loads of gain, humbuckers, that's exactly when you're going to want that.
Grab the humbuckers again, because I want to hear it.
I'll play some bridge pickup and some neck pickup stuff so you can hear. Sorry, fingers not working. Is it off now?
It is off now.
You much prefer it off?
For this,
Yeah.
and especially when we're comparing it to the tube screamer,
Yeah.
to have that bass cut
Yeah.
and make it a bit more pokey.
Yes,
Yeah, I
sorry.
mean with the bass cut, with the bass cut off, having all the bottom end through, it's massive. It's this massive, big, fat, gorgeous, warm sound. It's great.
Yeah, you didn't hear the bass on with the neck pickup, but I think the neck pickup in the bass off position was woolly enough for you to fill in the detail there.
So the interesting thing with that bass cut, and you were talking about when you hear the tube screamer like this, you know, you hear them side by side, you think, wow, the ODR-1 just sounds really natural and lovely and warm. The TS9 with that bass cut, it works into, you know, really cranked amplifiers where you really need that push.
Yeah.
But having that bass switch in the bass cut switch in the ODR-1, if you're running your amp like that,
Yeah.
and you need that just to show off, cut off a bit of those bottom end frequencies, it's a really handy thing to have.
Especially in smaller amps where they're giving so much power to that bottom end overdriving, and it's where you lose so much definition and clarity, and it's, you know,
and trying to push more of those frequencies in the input is going to cause issues.
So I must admit, I was thinking, why would you want that? But I can see exactly why you would want it.
Okay, let's have a quick listen to the blues driver then. With the ODR-1. I'm going to turn the bass back on.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, you play, I'll do it so we can hear the effect of doing it.
Okay.
Groovy. Are you happy with everything at 2 o'clock settings, Dan?
Yeah, maybe just turn the drive down a hair.
Okay, you play it. We'll get that. Fascinating. Here we are, calling the Blues Driver a fairly flat response overdrive all these years.
Yep.
It's got a nose on it.
Yeah, right. Compared to the ODR-1, absolutely.
Yeah, it's, I mean, if we get into Monty Python big nose jibes for a second, the Tube Screamer's there with the biggest conch. ODR-1 almost flat. And a little bit of a ridge on the Blues Driver.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I don't know. It would be so interesting to go and hammer one with a band, because so far I'm liking every noise it makes in a really musical way.
So the really interesting thing about the spectrum control is as you turn up the spectrum, you're not only turning up top end, you're turning up lower mids.
Yeah.
As you turn down the spectrum,
yeah,
you're turning down the lower mids, but the mids are still there.
Yeah,
you're turning down some top end, some of the lower mids are going down. You're still keeping bottom end. You know what I mean? So it's
Whereas on
really,
the
really
other two pedals, it's just
like a filter, top end filter,
low pass filter. Is it for the?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all you do is lose high end.
Yeah, so
okay.
Yeah.
Let's have just a quick listen to that with some humbuggies for a second. I've got a Leslie Paul instead of the 335. Just do me a favour a sec. Can you flick over to the other mode in the blues driver? Is one more bass cut than the other?
Yeah, the one on the left has a bit more bass cut.
Oh, does it?
Yep.
Try that a sec. So there's me thinking that the one we were on was probably the bass cut mode because it's got so much less bass than the ODR-1.
That's really interesting.
That's really, really interesting. It paints the, you know, as with everything in life, it's all about context, isn't it? Nothing has any meaning without context.
No.
And when you hear the blues driver in the next to the tube screamer, it's always, oh my God, it's, you know, much flatter frequency response. Hearing it next to the ODR-1, it sounds really
pokey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
But where the blues driver sits though, in the lower gain regions, I really like where it sits. There's a clarity to it that I think is really nice. And I think for a lot of, you know, myself included, I've never run the blues driver really gainy. It's always, you know, the gain is quite low. And it does have that bit of a mid push, but it sits in a really nice place. The really interesting thing about the ODR-1 is that what's so impressive is that you're hearing, because the amps are so clean, right? Normally where we have our amplifiers is set with a bit of love, you know, bit of limiting when we dig in, but these amps are really clean. And the way the ODR-1 is reacting, you know, you're hearing all the pedal.
Yeah.
And
but
it's like,
yeah, I mean, what would not, as a purely personal opinion, my favourite guitar sounds are always when the pedal is doing something with the
amplifier. Absolutely.
And the two things together are creating this whole. Whereas, and if you just hear pedal, it often sounds a bit thin and nasty by comparison, in my personal opinion.
And I agree 100%. But what I'm saying is what's so impressive with the ODR-1 is you're not hearing that.
Yeah.
And if you think about the environments for a lot of these players,
that's the thing, isn't it?
Right, where they've got to turn down.
Yeah.
You know that we're so fortunate we can play with a place we can turn the amps up and get some love going. It's like, no, actually, if what you've got to do is you're behind a singer and you've got to have everything really nice, you can see why that is so popular.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably worth saying that, sorry, I'm doing my...
I like it.
You know, the ODR-1 was much loved long before quiet stages were a problem. So it's been around in loud days too.
Yeah, yeah.
But the quiet stages are a problem. There's a political agenda there or what? But yeah, I totally agree. Before we move on to the AC15, let's give it a bit more love. I'll do some neck pickup conkers and just get it sort of woolly and, you know, womany a bit.
Okay.
To use a
on or off?
Claptonism. Leave it on for a second. Okay. We'll just compare that to the blues driver with a bit more gain, and I'll do some neck pickup stuff. Sorry, get a bit painful at the end there. Interesting. Reason I wanted to do that was because I thought the blues driver might really shine in that situation.
With a bit more
Yeah, that mid thing, giving it a bit more sort of honk that we associate with that move towards Clapton's woman tone. Actually, I thought the ODR did it better. Nicer blend of frequencies for me.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay.
All right.
Let's hear it into the... So...
Let's stay there. Let's not change the thing.
No, and hear it into the AC15.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. I got this.
He knows how to do it. I can't wait to hear the audio. I mean, just such a completely different experience.
Yeah, right.
Guitar was set the same, neck pickup. The tone was almost full on. So much more raspy high end in that. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah.
And a mid range in a completely different place.
Totally different spot.
Okay, let's get back to some less effecty guitar tones, as it were.
Sure.
Something less extreme. Stick with the blues driver and the ODR-1?
Yeah, just for now.
All right.
As soon as the ODR went on, I wanted to play music. This presents me with a dilemma.
You found a tube screamer you like. I know it's not a tube screamer.
So, I really, really like the almost clean tones of the blues driver is something very quick about it.
Yeah.
And that works really well for me. But as soon as I start getting some gain and some compression, man, that ODR-1 is unbelievable.
It's really cool. It's tremendously cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to try some Strat Blaster with it.
Okay.
Let's give Transit Van a go, shall we?
Yeah, indeed.
If you don't know why it's called Transit Van, Billy Gibbons' story of Pearly Gates.
He called yesterday.
Replace Billy Gibbons with me. Replace the 1939 Packard with a Transit Van.
There we go.
That's how that happened. Nothing, I am not liking anything about that whatsoever.
Right.
Turn the tube screamer on. Don't like that at all.
Fascinating.
Strat bridge pickup, too much high end in the Vox. So let's get off the bridge pickup.
Okay.
I don't have the tone control wired on this one, which is
Oh, right.
in a different amp, different pedal, different playing style. Awesome, but just not me here today with that. So back to the ODR-1 and the blues driver then. I'm struggling
Yeah.
to get a sound I like.
But that's the Vox thing,
Yeah.
right? And it can be harsh and can be scratchy. And when you're sticking more mids into it, you know. But it's a thing for me that I've always loved that, you know, especially with a neck pickup, you know, played, you know, trying really hard to play with sensitivity. But for me, what I found with the blues driver, the top end at lower gain levels felt really nice, felt really quick. As soon as the gain came in, it just sounded a bit harsh.
Yeah.
But there's a natural compression in the ODR-1 that seemed to work really well with it. Yeah, really, really impressive.
Okay.
I've got one last thing I want to try.
I want to try both amps.
Yeah, I want to put both amps on. I want to boost the blues driver
Yeah.
into the ODR-1.
Let's just have some fun to finish then.
Yeah.
Both amps then.
Both amps on. So you have to have all three. You got to have that boost going into it, but the Tube Screamer as a boost after it sounds mega.
Well, it's doing the bass cut job, isn't it?
That is so cool.
Certainly made this bridge pickup sound a bit less hateful.
Man.
I thought. And then I found what I haven't felt at all through one amp so far, really, is some joy under the fingers.
That's why we love the 2 amp thing.
And I do wonder if that's just filling in some of those frequencies that aren't there in each amp alone. Yeah. Just goes to show, doesn't it? You talk about flipping overdrive pedals all day long, and it's so fundamentally different which amp you plug them into.
Of course, and then the guitar.
And the human. You should have a play of that, Dan, because it's a very lovely thing. And in conclusion,
you need everything.
Everything on.
Everything on.
Loud is better. More is more. What do you? So come on then. I have played an ODR-1 before,
right?
But I've never owned one. Never had one on a pedal board. What do you think?
I am really, really impressed. So this is the standard one that you buy. There's nothing. It's not a vintage one with all the.
I bought it last week. I bought it from GAK in Brighton because they could deliver fast. I bought it on reverb.com. I think it was 99 quid. It's the one with the bass cut switch. It is literally the latest model. Now, there are loads of other models. There's a mini one, there's some other one and some other one. That's just the standard middle of the road one. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I'm really keen to hear it with the matchless. Yeah, I want to hear it with the old Rock of Twos there. Yeah. Nice. Very, very impressed. So you got to pick one of these overdrive pedals. Which one are you going home with? Yeah, ODR-1. 100%. Straight to the pool room. Yep. And for those of you screaming at the screen, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. Just be okay in the knowledge that not everyone knows everything all the time. Sometimes it takes a minute just to find the thing that everyone else knows. Indeed. So, yeah, very cool. Wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And a massive thank you to everyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grabbed some merch, t-shirts and hats and pedals and all the lanyards. Stuff. Oh, lanyards. We have lanyards there now. But yes, that basically funds the show and helps us deliver this joy to you. A massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is... Anderson's Music of Guildford in Surrey, where I should have bought the ODR-1 from, but I think they were out of stock. Right. But they're probably not out of stock now. Right. And our dear friends in Australia would be Pedal Empire of Brisbane, Queensland. And there are links in the description. Before we get to the links, though, check out the description because even though these, a lot of people say the shows are long, all the interesting bits, well, notable the bits, interesting perhaps, bit, are all commented in the description, so you can skip to those bits if you like. Yes. And Mick does the most wonderful job of
writing stuff in
that means I've got to actually make an effort with this one, Dan.
Well,
so yeah.
that's very good.
Yeah, please do. And you'll see some links to products. If you click on those links and buy stuff to Sweetwater in the US, Dan and I get kickback off that, and it helps us fund the show.
Yes, and a big shout out to all of our friends, patrons on Patreon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your support. It really means the world. Brilliant. Well, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on Monday for VCQ.
Yes, which means viewers, comments and questions. So if you want to say you doofuses, I told you about the ODR-1 years ago and you didn't listen to me, Monday is the place to do that.
Indeed. Brilliant. Cheers, guys. See you soon. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's Tom Thingy from Little Britain.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.